I drive for a living. Mostly late-night deliveries for small companies, long stretches on empty highways. It's quiet work, and honestly, that's how I like it. But a few months ago, I had a night that I'll never, ever forget. I still think about it every time I pass mile marker 128 on Highway 19. That's where I met the man who knocked on my car window at 3 in the morning. It was raining that night, not a storm. Just that constant, misty drizzle that makes the world feel like it's dissolving. I was on a back road, a 30-mile cut-through, surrounded by nothing but dark forest and fog. I'd been on the road for hours. My eyes felt like lead, and the rhythmic thump of the windshield wipers was starting to hypnotize me. Then my gas light came on. I let out a quiet curse. The next station was supposed to be another 15 miles away. But about 10 minutes later, I saw something flicker through the mist. A sign. It said open 24 hours. It barely looked like a real gas station, more like a single pump next to an old, weathered shack with grimy windows and a buzzing neon light. Desperate times, right? I pulled in. I filled up the tank, then went inside to grab a coffee from a dusty old vending machine. As I got back in my car, a strange feeling washed over me. I hadn't seen a single soul. No clerk, no other cars, just absolute, heavy silence, broken only by the rain tapping on my roof. I started the engine and glanced at my phone, 2:57 a.m., and that's when I saw it. Movement in my side mirror. Someone was standing behind my car. He was tall, wearing a dark hooded jacket. At first, I thought, maybe a hitchhiker, someone stranded out here in the miserable weather. But then, he started walking toward my window, the driver's side, with this slow, deliberate pace. I remember my hands gripping the steering wheel so tight my knuckles turned white. He stopped just a few feet away. For a long moment, we just stared at each other through the glass. Then, tap, tap, tap. He knocked on my window. I nearly jumped out of my skin. My headlights seemed to flicker as the rain hit them. The man leaned in a little closer, and through the fogged-up glass, I could just make out his face. He was smiling, but it wasn't a friendly smile. It was slow, crooked, and stretched just a little too wide. His skin looked unnaturally pale, almost gray under the glow of that buzzing neon sign. I cracked my window, maybe an inch, and managed to say, "Hey man, you okay?" He didn't answer. He just tilted his head, still holding that awful smile. Then, he said something that made the blood in my veins turn to ice. He said my name. I hadn't told him my name. I hadn't spoken to another person in hours. I stammered, "Do I know you?" He didn't even blink, just whispered, "You shouldn't stop here." Then he turned his head slowly towards the gas station building and pointed, his hand shaking. "There's someone inside," he said, his voice barely audible. "She's been waiting for you." And then he smiled again, even wider this time, before stepping back into the darkness and vanishing. I just sat there, completely stunned, my mind racing. Was this some kind of sick joke? Is there really a woman inside that shack? Every instinct was screaming at me to floor it and get out of there. But a stupid, morbid curiosity took over. I had to know what he meant. So, I opened my car door. The moment I stepped out, the air felt 10 degrees colder. The mist was so thick, I could barely see a few feet in front of me. "Hello," I called out. Nothing. The man was gone. I walked slowly towards the building, the neon light buzzing and crackling overhead. I cupped my hands against the filthy glass and peered inside. And that's when I saw her. A woman, standing behind the counter, perfectly still. Her hair was soaked, her clothes dark with water, like she'd been standing in the rain for hours. I stepped closer to the door. "Hey, sorry, didn't mean to scare you. Do you work here?" She didn't respond. She just lifted her hand and pressed it flat against the glass, and smiled. Her lips moved, forming words, but no sound came out. Then I noticed something else. Behind her, in the reflection, there was a second figure. The man, standing right behind her, smiling that same horrible smile. I stumbled backward and scrambled for my car. My heart was pounding so hard I thought it was going to burst. I slammed the door, locked it, and fired up the engine. I didn't look back. I just peeled out of there, speeding down the highway, tires squealing on the wet asphalt. The rain hammered against my windshield as I fought to catch my breath, my eyes darting to the rearview mirror every few seconds, expecting to see headlights chasing me. But there was nothing, just darkness. After about 15 minutes, I finally started to slow down, my pulse beginning to settle. And that's when I heard it. A knock. 3 slow, distinct knocks. Coming from the back window. I froze solid. The sound came again, closer this time. I turned my head, slowly, dreadfully, and in the reflection of the rearview mirror, I saw him. The man sitting in my back seat. He was smiling. His pale, wet hand was pressed against the glass. Before I could even process what I was seeing, he leaned forward right up to my ear and whispered, "She's still waiting." I screamed and swerved the car violently. When I whipped my head around to look, the back seat was empty. There was nothing there. I slammed on the brakes, pulled over, and jumped out of the car, gasping for air on the side of the road. I threw open the back door. It was dry, empty, nothing out of place. But when I got back into the driver's seat, I saw it. On the passenger seat beside me, a single wet handprint. I drove straight home that night. Didn't stop, didn't tell a soul what happened. I tried to write it off as exhaustion. Maybe I dozed off for a second and had a vivid nightmare. But a few days later, I got a text message, an unknown number. It just said, "You shouldn't have left her there." My stomach plummeted. I deleted it instantly, trying to believe it was just a prank. But it happened again the next night, and the next. Same message, same words. Every single night at 3 a.m., about a week later, I was scrolling online and saw a local news post. They were tearing down an old, abandoned gas station off Highway 19. The article mentioned a tragic event that happened there 20 years ago. A female clerk who vanished during her late-night shift. They said when the police showed up, the lights were still on. And there were wet footprints leading from behind the counter right to the front door. The last thing captured on the security footage. The clerk staring directly into the camera lens and smiling. I still get those messages sometimes. Always at 3 a.m. Always the same 5 words. "You shouldn't have left her there." And sometimes, when I'm driving late at night and I happen to glance in my rearview mirror, I swear I can see a pale face in the reflection, smiling back at me. So if you ever find yourself driving down Highway 19 and you see a lonely little gas station glowing in the fog, just keep driving, because someone's still there. And she's waiting for you, too. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more stories. Stay safe out there.